Join us for a review of the all-new Nissan Juke. Please subscribe if you haven't done so far, and let's go! The new Nissan Juke is still built in Sunderland in the UK, but it sits on an all-new platform that promises more stiffness in riding, for example. We'll see out how it plays out later for the driving part. In the front you can see, well, it's maybe not that dramatic as before. This car has always, actually been love or hate, something like that. But most people loved it, therefore it has been sold over 1 million times. The length of this new generation, 4 meters 21, 13 foot 8 or 166 inches. That's 8 centimeters or 3 inches more than before. And the wheel size start with 16-inch steel, then 17-inch aluminum, and those ones directly in the N design pack, 19-inch, the biggest ones available. We'll see out how that plays out for the riding comfort. Also with black accentuations. Look pretty cool. Then the crossover cladding right there, and also this N design pack with the glossy black elements here in the lower area. Other than that, also typical Juke style, then with contrasting roofs available. Soon I will also show you some other colors. You can tell me which one is your favorite for today. Here, of course, it works very well with the white and black contrast to be even more dramatic. There we see it. This wing-alike style or this table style here in the back. It seems to be a design scheme at the moment with Japanese cars. However, this one here also built in Europe, but let's say, with Japanese headquarters, manufacturers, that they really put this design where they make this, falling window in the rear and then create this huge area right there. It looks more dramatic, definitely, and also those tail lamps stand out really very strongly. This is a standard Nissan car key, nothing special. Yeah, maybe something more joyful would have been cool for the new Juke, but yeah, that's it, and at least it's light. You can also use the keyless entry here with pressing the button right there. Open and close, and then door closing sound in the front. Very solid, and that speaks for this new build quality they have here with the new Juke. Yes, the inside of the doors and top part, that is hard pack, but what's cool, you have an ambient light integration right there in this gap, and then this special N design line also in the interior has a nice soft leather red cover. It feels like in the Mercedes CLA or in the Mercedes A-Class, maybe the same supplier, so no one would guess that it's not animal sourced. It's really high grade leather red, really cool, animal friendly, more sustainable, less CO2 output, but still feels really great. Those inside buttons, they don't feel that good, but it's cool that we now look at details with the Nissan Juke as for build quality, because in a lot of different steps it has been massively upgraded. Inside of the doors here also bigger bottles do fit, and then you can see this one, this special black and white design line fits so well to the exterior. You don't have to go for it. I'll soon also show you a more subtle version. Here, white leatherette at the dashboard. Interesting, also soft touch leatherette black in black on top here. Then also soft touch plastics here on top of the dashboard behind it. This new steering wheel, which looks a little bit sportier than before. This special button to activate the assistance system. As for the extensive ACC with the lane assist, we'll test it out in the driving part. Then getting inside, you have a new ergonomic seating position. Those sport seats here, or sporty seats, are also good for taller people actually, and way more ergonomic seating comfort than the previous generations. That's one of the main things I like about this new generation. So before, I wasn't very comfortable feeling in the Juke, but here that's actually quite fine. Seat in the lowest position here, that leaves a lot of headroom still with one of these 86 or 601. For a little bit better seating comfort, I usually like pump it up your 1 or 2 or 3 times, and then sit a little bit more upright. As for that, steering wheel can be adjusted 2 ways, like this, and also they found a good process for that. You can really find a nice seating position, so everything really feels more refined than before and more ergonomic, more comfortable. That's probably the best thing about this new interior. The interior is mainly about this new build quality. Here again, this high-class red dashboard, really cool, feels so soft and nice. And for example, also here, this round vent style, it looks good, and they even have a nice clicking sound when you open and close. So pretty amazing. And also this manual climate unit that you can still access very well. Jonas said it feels a little bit like a 90s stereo or something, like a hi-fi equipment. I really like the haptic feedback. Yeah, maybe because I'm also like a kid of the 90s. So with every step you have like click, click, click. Not like really much acoustic, but just how you feel it. So massively step up the game as for the this input quality, how you interact with the car, and I really, really like that. Then the steering wheel also has a good size overall. Again, right side to set the adaptive cruise control, which is an option. AEB, the autonomous emergency brake, would be standard already. Left side for the volume, and you can also control this digital screen. Soon we'll also take a detailed look to the digital screen together with the analog dials right and left. And this central dash then here on the right again. This is the new 8-inch touchscreen right there, and the software still looks somehow dated already. Yeah, that's always a problem. We see that a lot with the Japanese manufacturers, that they do a lot of things really great, but then the software of the infotainment system is always dated. I have no idea why. So, and then here left and right analog, speedometer and the RPMs, and in the middle then you have some digital information. For example, the digital speed is actually quite clear and nice to read, or you can check your music or the settings for the assistance systems and so on, and it's also clear to read. So it's a mix of classic and more modern. Then I showed you before, really a clever integration right there, and the same styling here, and then the N-Design pack, hard pack here, but then the soft leather red right there. And if you have the Bose sound system, this one here is just a blind speaker, although it looks like that, but it's not active. Yeah, very funny. In the bass sound system it will be active then, but you don't need it in the Bose sound system anymore. And here again the nice styling also for the rear compartment with this black and white mix. And since the wheelbase has been increased, you also have some more leg room. And it's also good that you put the seat a little bit higher than your feet fit well under it. And I mean, it's not a super long car, but still the package is quite okay, and you can fit 4 tall adults here, especially as for the headroom. I can even put a hand over my head. That still works, so not plenty of space, but it's decently comfortable. With 420 liters of capacity, the boot is also more voluminous than before, and you have some variation right there. There's this loading floor, you can put it out completely if you like, or you can just store it in the very low area, and that's good because then you have more height available, so it will very well fit here also with a backpack. And what about the engines? Well, there is only one, so easy for us, easy for you, and they obviously didn't put an engine cover here yet, so I mean, also good for you, then we can see a little bit more of this engine. And this is a 1 liter 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine, 117 horsepower, either a 6-speed manual gearbox or a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. Yes, you heard it correctly, because there were some comments in our initial static review like, oh, again, the CVT, there was a horrible automatic gearbox. No, this one here, if you go automatic, then a dual clutch transmission, a really new one that should improve also the automatic driving comfort. The acceleration figures, they differ just a little bit. So it's either 10.4 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour with the manual gearbox, or 11.1 seconds for the DCT. So in this case, dual clutch transmission is slower. Usually it's the other way around, but here they put a different gear ratio for the DCT to make it a little more comfortable in the ride. So there, that explains this 0.7 seconds acceleration difference. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the all-new Nissan Juke, and we're here at the Montserrat Mountains, winding roads close to Barcelona, and we want to test the new agility of the Juke. This new platform was promising us more agile driving fun, and I have to say, indeed, the car does feel a little bit more agile than the previous generation. A little bit stiffer as for the chassis, you feel that. Here with those 19-inch wheels, we also have a connection to the road. Yeah, you will lose some comfort definitely in everyday driving life, but still, this normal standard suspension, just one that is available for the Juke, and so far it feels like a good compromise. So it doesn't feel too soft, yet it doesn't feel uncomfortable. So suspension-wise, this is probably one of the best upgrades. However, if there are some uneven parts on the road, then you do feel you have normal suspension, non-adaptive, and you have those 19-inch wheels, which are somewhat a little bit, not that forgiving then in this case. But still, as long as the road is good, it's all nice. And you see maybe also from the steering input, that feels quite natural, quite good. I don't have to steer that much, so the steering is quite progressive. I like that. I can keep my hands on the steering wheel, both hands on the steering wheel all the time, so pretty nice. Really like the steering setup they found here. The manual gearbox, which will be driven by most customers. That's also the reason I chose that one here as a primary vehicle today, because I always want to see what are the most guys going for. And shifting ways could be maybe a little bit shorter, but it's overall okay. Has a quite crisp feedback, so rather a sporty feedback than a smooth one. You maybe notice that on camera there's also not too much body roll, so that's also quite good. Here's some slalom. Again, pretty decent. So indeed, this new generation does offer you more sporty driving fun. Really like that. So maybe a little bit like in the base version, like one of the sporty versions before. And the brakes are really crisp and sharp, I like that. So I like when cars have a direct brake pedal feedback, because usually in some situations you not exactly sure if you brake enough. So it's better when they react directly, and then it's also safer for you. So very nice to steer this car around here. Definitely a nice character driving wise. This 1 liter 3-cylinder engine, it doesn't have much power. However, in situations where city something, it's totally fine. And you can also use this turbo, just shift a gear down, then it has a peculiar sound, definitely, those 3-cylinder engines. And now to some motorway driving, because that's of course also very important. At the moment we are at about 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, and noise insulation is a little bit better than before. It's, let's say, decent, but it's not that we would say it's like super silent. That's also not the main feature of this vehicle, but still is quite okay. And it delivers us, definitely a decent calm ride overall. Not sure what that was, but what's very interesting, you can either set the normal cruise control or you're on the right side of the steering wheel then, as I told you earlier, you can set this, extensive autopilot. Well, it's not a real autopilot, but as far as it goes here. And that means that the steering is being overtaken while you should keep your hands at the steering wheel. And also the adaptive cruise control rules everything. However, here with the manual gearbox, it's of course not reducing the speed until 0 because it would stall the engine. So it's even working better than with the auto gearbox. Now we are at about 120 kilometers an hour. And still noise insulation is okay. As I said, it's not that I would say it's best in segment or something, but it's still quite decent. And now to our conclusion for today with the all-new Nissan Juke. The exterior, a little bit less polarizing than before, but I think that's actually a good step because also to me, I like this one here definitely more. And the feedback we got so far with the static review was actually very, very positive. There will be still some splitting in love or hate, but I mean, it's a worldwide success definitely. With this car, just look at the sales figures. This, is really selling literally in millions. Interesting. Well, and then on the interior, since the car is a little bit bigger than before, you have especially more rear legroom. That's good and important for everyday using this car. Massive step up in the interior build quality. So a lot of single elements. They are really, really very well done now. And the best we've seen from all Nissan cars so far. So they really made a big step ahead. Also with the infotainment system, that you have a good Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connection. Interesting also with the special Bose speakers there. If you go for that option, the rest of the infotainment system, is not that much up to date as for software, but probably you will rely on your smartphone connection anyway. Also in driving, more agile driving feeling for this car, feels more refined than before. Even if you go for the automatic gearbox, you now have a proper DCT automatic transmission, so this will also help. In general, the driving feeling is a little bit crisper even in those standard versions, and especially suspension comfort has been increased together with the better seating comfort. That's probably the most important thing to me about this vehicle. Fuel consumption here with this one engine that is available, about 7 liters on 1 kilometer is a realistic one. That is 30 something mpg in US or close to 40 mpg UK. I think you can also live with that. That's normal for a car of that size with a turbo petrol engine. So it won't consume you less just because it's a small engine. Downsizing doesn't necessarily mean less fuel consumption. Is the downsizing here okay? I mean, they try to keep the price of the car low. That's also one reason why it's so successful, because you have a car that has, some joy, but still is not that expensive. And especially joy also in the interior here, especially with this very car, with the fabric leatherette mix in black and white, and also black-white exterior. This is so well fitting together, and also sustainable and animal-friendly materials on the interior. We've seen here a couple of different combinations today. So I think that's really something pretty cool, and I like when something can be special in cars that are still somewhat affordable and not only in those high-class premium cars. And then back to the engine where I was coming to. This one here is actually enough for this kind of car. If you want to accelerate on the motorway, that can lack some power. So a bigger, powerful engine might be a nice option to go for. But you can also understand that they try to make it lean from the whole options and engine lineup. That's then maybe also again good for the customer, that you can keep this base price. I think we're gonna have to live with that. For most purposes it will be okay, just cannot expect a superb acceleration. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Autogefuhl. Maybe also check out our static review, that was also interesting. We also showed different trims there and so on, different surrounding and so on. And also competitors of this car. A Toyota CHR, for example, would be one you could check out. And they also resemble a little bit in the design. So what's your take on this vehicle? Please put all your comments right there in our comment section. Let's discuss this vehicle and tune in next time to Autogefuhl. Jonas behind the camera and Thomas in front of the camera saying goodbye for today.